Welcome to the Find and Follow podcast, where we are all about helping you find and follow Jesus in your everyday life. Kyle and Scott here, your regular hosts, with a guest today, which is super great. Kyle, I feel like you and me together, we might have enough energy to match our guest's energy.
Ooh, I don't know. I haven't had enough coffee yet.
You're going to have to pull your weight here. I will do my part, but
okay.
We got James Sprague. Welcome to the podcast. Glad to have you here.
Thank you, gentlemen. I'm stoked to be here. You caught me at a good time this morning. I'm a slow riser, so I don't have the most energy yet. But if it was an hour later, I might be beating you both.
Okay, well that's
definitely
good. Kyle's a real slow riser, so
very slow.
I feel that, man.
You both are just this will be good though. This is what this is, just a good casual conversation. For anybody who's maybe new tuning in because your buddy, your bro, your homie James is on the podcast.
Holmes.
This is the whole format is just a casual conversation. And we love to have guests on just about your story, about how you found and what it means for you to follow Jesus. And so it's kind of a chill, laid back, but hopefully helpful and inspirational few minutes together. Craig is not here today. He is moving. In the process of moving just down the street, basically, but packing the boxes and getting them shipped out. We're U-hauling them this weekend. So that's where he's at. He'll be gone for a few weeks. But James, let's just start in. Here's a couple things I know about you, and we'll jump into your story. Christ and CrossFit.
Yes, sir.
Those are the two big things, right?
The C's.
The C's. And then, so tell us a little bit about you, who you are, and then we'll jump into your story about how you found Jesus.
Oh, man. Who am I? So I'm James Sprague. I'm 21 years old, about to be 22 in a few days.
What? When's your birthday?
It's on May 20th.
Wow,
No way.
really
That's
close.
Monday.
Yeah.
Happy
We're
birthday.
close. Thank you, man. I
That's
appreciate
awesome.
it. I know. I'm excited. It's kind of the Taylor Swift era, as they say. The 22.
Yeah.
I won't sing for you guys. Don't want to embarrass myself. But
Is there a song 22?
Yeah,
There is.
22.
Oh, dude. I went to her concert back in 8th grade. I know them all.
She was like country back then.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
She was very different back then. I went to Bieber concerts, all that stuff.
A Swiftie and a Beavs?
I'm more of a Beeb. Swiftie I've
Okay.
kind of gone away from. I like all kinds of music. I'm a big country guy right now. But basically, I got into CrossFit about 9 years ago. I was 13 years old. My dad had done CrossFit prior to me getting into it, and he was so good at this sport. He was a freak athlete for his age. So there's this thing called the Masters Division, and in the Masters Division for CrossFit, they took 20 guys to come to the CrossFit Games, and he was a part of those top 20 in the world for multiple years. He's been 2011, 2016, and 2021. So I got to grow up watching him dominate the sport and just tell everyone my dad's the strongest guy around, which he was. He's just insane. If you ever seen my dad, he's this big pack of muscle. So I got to watch my dad, and in 2013, I decided I wanted to try this with him. And what prompted me to get into the gym was I was overweight, I was depressed, I didn't feel this purpose in life that I saw these other middle schoolers having, like, oh, they're really good at sports, or they're really good at writing, or they're really good at something. And I wanted that thing I was good at and made me feel like I'm a part of something greater. And little did I know CrossFit was going to show me Christ later on. And it was God showing me, hey, there's more for you than feeling like you have no purpose and you're depressed and you're beat down. And so CrossFit was the avenue to start showing me what hard work meant. It started showing me that I can overcome challenges and work hard at something in a relentless pursuit and just go all in on something to glorify God. And when I started CrossFit, I'm like anyone. I had to learn all the basics. It was really challenging, and it still is today.
But you're in 8th grade at this time, right?
Yes.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's challenging to tie your shoes sometimes.
100%. Yeah. And
I understand that. Now, how did your dad get into CrossFit? Was it just something new? Was he just somebody else did it? Like, what was his inspiration?
So we lived in a cool cul-de-sac growing up, and in our cul-de-sac we had a few neighbors that did CrossFit, and they were always telling him, "You'd be really good at this. You're super strong, and you work really hard." So he got into it, and he made the world his second year doing it.
Okay, so it's like quick success.
Oh yeah,
yeah, that's fun.
Great success. And so watching him grow in that, I was really inspired because it helped my dad overcome alcoholism. So
oh wow,
yeah. So both of us conquered something through CrossFit and God showed us like, hey, there's this thing for you that can help you defeat your addiction, your sadness, and you just go out and keep showing up, and it changed both of our lives.
Yeah, which happens all the time when we get disciplined in one area of our lives, we become more just disciplined person, and it translates into all the areas because we're one person. So if people relationally work on their marriage or whatever, it translates into their finances and maybe their health. It happens to all of us in lots of different ways. Yeah, which is super fun. So
100%.
so you're jumping in. You're in 8th grade. Were other 8th graders doing CrossFit? Was that a thing then, or were you like the guy who's like, what do you do? You're at the gym throwing weights around
It's
and
the
not to
second
get
one.
ready for football, right?
Oh yeah, it's the second one. I got so much crap from my friends because I started to sacrifice a lot for the sport. I would actually get in bed at a decent hour in the 8th grade. I would eat good foods that weren't, processed and bad for you. I committed a lot to the sport right when I started it because I was like, I want to be the best. And so when I was 13, I decided there's a 14 to 15-year-old division for the teenagers, and I wanted to be the top 20. So I was like, I'm going to start committing as much as I can to this right now so I can try and be the best in the world. And I qualified when I was 15. And so all my friends made fun of me, to answer your question. They're like, dude, that's so lame. You just go out and hang out with us at 1 a.m. and run around and do all these crazy things. And I'm just
you're not chugging 2 liters of Mountain Dew and pizza parties and playing, Wii video games and stuff like every other middle schooler.
100%. It's funny. I had no craving to do that. Because I had been through so much like hurt in the past. I was like, I just want to be great. Everything about being the best athlete was what I wanted to do. So my life reflected that at the time, and it still does today.
And so you said it came from some hurt. I'm just curious. Where does that drive come from? Where do you think, as you're looking back? Because it is pretty abnormal. I mean, lots of kids get committed to things and go after it. But to go, I'm going to want to be the best in the world, and then to get the opportunity to go there, that's huge. So where do you think the drive comes from?
Oh, man. I think the drive came from just wanting to prove it to my past self. Like, still today at almost 22, I'm like, hey, I want to prove it to old James. I call him Fat James because I was super overweight. I was overweight.
Dude,
Yeah.
I run. There's so many times I run. I'm like, Fat Scott is catching you. Do not let Fat Scott
Dude,
get you.
it's a real motivator. And I look back and I'm like, I never want to feel that way again, and I never want to look that way again. And I want to prove it to my old self that I'm reborn. Literally, I'm a new person. I defeated that old way of life.
Yeah, and now you're talking physically, spiritually. Yeah,
Everything.
I got you.
The
I'm
whole
picking up what
embodiment.
you're putting down.
Oh yeah.
So let's fast forward a little bit here. How did you find Jesus? And you said CrossFit was a little bit part of that. Talk to us about your relationship with God, like growing up early, and was God part of you guys' family, or just the whole journey of what was influential and impactful for you to find Jesus?
Oh man. So I grew up going to church. It was leisurely. We went to church. I would say we tried to go every week, but it wasn't like a thing in our family where if we missed it, it was a big deal. It was just like, hey, we should go do this. I never fully understood why. Like, I understood God is good and Jesus died for our sins, but I never knew more than that. I never was reading my Bible at a young age, and I wasn't understanding what it meant to live for God. All I knew was there's good morals and bad morals, and those came from the Bible, from what I was taught. But I never wanted a relationship with Jesus, and I never soaked that out or tried to pursue that. And so, growing up, my parents got divorced when I was 10, and I was just pretty broken, and that was that time in my life where I started gaining weight. I started feeling lack of purpose, started, just not sleeping. It was a miserable time in my life. So fast forwarding year after year, I when things started to get better, I never gave Christ the recognition he deserved back then, because he was the one who pulled me out of this pit. He was the one who showed me CrossFit and gave me this hard work ethic and allowed me to use this gift my body has as a temple to do great things with it. And so it was when I was 19 and I moved over to Florida. Fast forward a lot of time. Moved over to Florida to pursue CrossFit.
Yeah. So at that point, like in the CrossFit career, where are you at?
Oh man, so this is almost 7 years after I started now. I'm moving full time over to Florida to pursue a career in CrossFit, as in, you're getting paid to do it. You're doing all these big competitions all the time. Your training is your life now. It is your thing. And so basically I moved over to Florida thinking it was all for CrossFit, and little did I know I found a church family, and one of my coaches, his name's Dom, he showed me Jesus, and we did Bible studies together. We did everything together, and he just slowly and surely he showed me Jesus, and we read scripture together. We did Bible studies, and I decided I wanted to stop living for myself. I wanted to obey the word because I knew that there was this fog on my eyes that I was in so many different areas of sin. Couldn't tame my tongue. I was living in sexual immorality. I was lying. I had idols. CrossFit was still on my idol list. Like it was that thing where if I didn't do good, I wasn't happy. So I had so much sin in my life, and I decided I want this fog gone. I want to see clearly. And I knew that was going to take a lot of work. So moving to Florida was not for CrossFit. It was for me to accept Christ fully and start living in the Word fully.
But you thought at the time it was for CrossFit.
Exactly.
Because it was a good training. Is that why? The coaching or what? You right?
Yeah, so my coach, he lived in Naples, Florida.
Okay.
And so he moved me and 4 other athletes down there, and we had a training camp. So it was an elite CrossFit training camp where we would just train from, our schedule was usually 10 to 1:30, and then we'd go home, and then we'd train from 3 to 5, and that was our day. And we did that every day, 5 days a week for 2 years, and the camp is still there. I just decided I need to come home and have a little bit more balance now.
Gotcha. Well, I'm just curious about the CrossFit thing and the training thing, just because, partly I think I'm jealous that you do work out for a job. But
that's pretty dang cool.
We'll come back to the Jesus track here in a second. But you say, okay, we train. What does that look like? Because for most of us, they're like workout training. You're like, I did like 17 minutes at home. Did a few jumping jacks.
30 minutes on the treadmill.
Yeah, 30 minutes on the treadmill. That's training, right?
100%. I would say training.
What does your day look like on an average day?
For sure. So there's a difference between training and working out, in my opinion. Training is to peak your performance with your regimen in the gym. If you are trying to peak your performance for a specific event or cause, I would call that training. If you're just going to work out to be better for everyday life and be healthier, I'll call that working out. So I train to win the CrossFit Games, and the CrossFit Games is to find the fittest man in the world. And so basically, training in CrossFit is trying to be the best at gymnastics, endurance, and weightlifting. So it's everything combined. At the CrossFit Games, they can throw any test at you, from an obstacle course to a 1-rep max deadlift to 1,000 burpees for time to running a marathon. So you're trained to be the all-around best athlete, kind of like a decathlete in track, but a lot more than that.
How long can you do a handstand for?
Ooh, are we talking against the wall or freestanding?
Freestanding.
I could get you about 1.5 to 2 minutes, depending on the day.
And you can do go up a little bit of stairs and some obstacles on the handstand.
Oh yeah. So actually, next week is the semifinals to qualify for the CrossFit Games. And they have an event with some speed handstand walking, but they haven't released if there's gonna be stairs or turns on your hands. So it's like one of the events out of the 6 of them is a pure handstand walking test, which is pretty cool.
See, that kind of thing. I couldn't do a handstand for more than 0.6 seconds.
Yeah. I'll have to teach you, bro.
Yeah, I know.
I got you, man.
So that's the difference, training versus working out. Kyle loves that from when it comes to Jesus too.
Training versus trying.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
That was like a softball, Pastor Kyle. Did you want to?
Yeah. No. And again, diving back
when
into
it comes to
Jesus
following
stuff.
Jesus.
Yeah, I think a lot of times in that same vein, we try to follow Jesus, right? And we're just like, I'll give it my best, or even the random 30 minutes on the treadmill. I mean, we need to be training our mind, our body, our spirit to follow Jesus. We got to prepare for the CrossFit Games, right? This is a big deal, following Jesus. And so, yeah, I mean, I could go into a whole bunch of stuff on that, but I think all this stuff that we're talking about, I know you kind of joked let's take a break from the Jesus stuff and talk about CrossFit. And you've said it already once, it's all of us, right? It's all of who you are. And so that mindset that you've applied to CrossFit, obviously you've applied to following Jesus. And hey, this isn't just a one Sunday a week type thing, or hey, yeah, I'll try to maybe hear about Jesus. This is who I am, and this is all of my life. And so it takes that mindset and that shift in our perspective to understand what following Jesus is supposed to be about.
100%.
We'll jump back in here. You said something. 1 John 5:21 says this, after a section of just now that we're true followers of Jesus, we're in fellowship with God, we're living in the light because of Jesus and with God, right? It says, verse 21, dear children, keep away from anything that might take God's place in your hearts.
Mm-hmm.
And you had said that's kind of, you came to that spot in your journey going, oh, let me get more serious about Jesus because there's all this other stuff that's taken the place of God in my heart. Was there something in Dom, your coach, your trainer, was there something in him that was like, oh, man, he's a Jesus follower and he's living this way? Or was it just being part of that community? You know, what was in that time and that experience that really helped you go, I'm gonna crank this up? Or was it more of the stuff that's going on in your life, just internal chaos and like, where do I want to head? Like, what is some of that as you look back? Because that wasn't too long ago. Because you're going to be 22 on Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get some clarity. He's a coach at the facility you're going to train.
Correct.
And then just also helping you follow Jesus.
Correct.
Okay.
Was he helping the other athletes too?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's an evangelist. He gets out. He puts the word out there, man, and he does it publicly with his Instagram platform too. He's all about it, and it's a really good example for me to be using all my platforms I have for Christ to promote His kingdom. And so Dom, he had this calm presence about him that he was so awesome, so fun to be around. He really cared about you and who you were and where you've been, and asked so many good questions to know me more. And I knew Dom before I moved there. He was always just a light-hearted guy that was just awesome to be around, like I said. But
did you know him through competitions?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So Dom basically asked hard questions about my life that made me think, am I doing this right? And he encouraged me to, seek more from those tough questions. And seeking more meant seeking Christ. And he showed me where to look in the Word for these answers. And whenever I had a question about God, he was always able to respond to it because he knew the Word so well. So Dom was that guy in that avenue for me to, really start searching and seeking.
Yeah, I love that.
Super cool.
Shout out to Dom.
Shout out to Dom.
Jesus said,
Thanks to you, Dom.
I give it Jesus. I'm 13 next week. Jesus says, as we are going, make disciples, right? And sometimes we relegate it to like as you go, like to a special thing or an event or a missions trip for a week. But as you're going in your work, whatever you're doing, that you're helping people find and follow Jesus. So he just saw that opportunity not to just raise athletes, but to raise men, to raise people who would find Jesus and follow him. And so
totally.
Yeah, and again, I think going back to the training versus trying, this training versus working out, I think that trying always gives us an excuse. Like, I'll try to be a better follower of Jesus, and then it's like, it didn't work, right? Like, your training is very different. If you're like, I need to hit this max deadlift, this is where I'm going. I'm going to do whatever it takes to hit that.
Totally.
And so trying is like, I didn't get to 225 today. Oh, cool. 195 was great, right?
Yeah.
And you just tried.
Yep.
Whoa,
And that's
bro, you're throwing out numbers.
I know.
You don't want to be insulting.
I was trying to make it more reasonable for the rest of us.
I understand.
Because I have no idea about numbers, but that sounded like way low.
Yeah, that's like what normal people could do.
Okay.
Not freak out.
Oh my gosh, stop that.
So, like, again, I think would, people get in the gym or stuff like that. That's where I see this idea of trying, right? That's a very different mindset for even a way that, again, that most of us would work out. Like, hey, we're going to try to hit your max bench today. And it's like, oh, sorry, that didn't work. I tried, cool.
Yeah.
Which, again, isn't negative, but when we apply that to Jesus, it's, hey, loving people and evangelizing to people, and I'm just going to give it a shot, and if it doesn't work, oh well. The training is, no, I'm gonna discipline myself so that this is my goal, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to get there. I'm going to eat different. I'm going to sleep different. I'm going to sacrifice some stuff. I'm going to cut out some of the stuff in my life because it's that important. And when we see disciplined athletes and disciplined communicators or whatever it is, it's like, oh, there's something different there. And 100%. I think sometimes there's a gap in following Jesus where we think trying is good enough and we give ourselves props for that. And again, I'm not saying you shouldn't step up to the plate and take some swings, but when we have that mindset shift to like, no, I'm training for the goal and the purpose for which Christ has created me, it changes things, man. It changes your attitude. It changes your priorities. It changes your shift of like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to hit that.
I think it
Right.
was a few weeks ago at church when you guys pull up a verse, and it was commit whatever you do to the Lord, and He will establish your plans. And my whatever is in my fitness journey, like it's committed to Christ. Like I want to win so I can glorify His name in these interviews and with my performance. And it's like you have to have that same mindset, like you said, being a Christian and being in the Word. And one of the things we're going to talk about today is how do you strengthen your relationship with Christ? And I believe if you are in the Word daily, a relationship is two-sided, right? I can't just talk to you and you listen and never talk to me. I'm not going to get to know you. Yeah. So we can pray all we want and do all these things to talk to God, but the way He talks to us is through the Bible. So if we want Him to speak to us and to know Him more, it's like be in your Word. Like go open your Bible every day, go learn something, and not just read it, but actually dissect it. Like Satan doesn't care if you just openly read your Bible and you're just skimming verses, but what Satan's scared of is when you go in and you're like, oh, what does that verse really mean? He doesn't want you to know God truly, and that's how you know God truly.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So talk to us a little bit about, so you're in training camp with the other guys. Dom's like, hey, what's life like really, and what's the real purpose to life, and where are you headed? And I'm sure all these fun, difficult, challenging questions, and you're at the age of life where you're really keyed in on that. You're like, what am I doing now?
Yeah.
And how that shows up in my future, which is true for all of us, whether you're 45 or 21. But it just seems to hit harder at your stage of life.
Yeah.
You're going, it feels like, right, you got the rest of your life in front of you, and you're in charge as an adult. You're in charge of your life and as far as making decisions. So what's life like now on the other side of like coming to Christ and committing, and having the Holy Spirit help change things, the stuff you'd mentioned earlier, and just change? And what has been different now that living for Jesus and committing your life to Christ?
There's so much comfort, peace, and joy, and I know that sounds so cliche, but you wake up every morning when you've committed everything to Christ. You wake up every morning with clear vision. Like I was talking about earlier, there was that fog in my eyes that I couldn't see, and I know my direction for the day. I know what I need to do, and there's way less stress in my day. There's way less anxiety. I'm happier. I genuinely wake up just like enthusiastic and excited for any challenge that comes my way, whether it's, going and volunteering at something, whether it's a hard training day, whether it's something fun or something that's like, I don't really want to do this. Like, I know that that's going to honor God and His kingdom by me giving 100% to that task. So I just wake up enthusiastic for whatever is on my plate. And that's what God does. He transforms your life and makes things clear. Like He turned my grave into a garden.
Yeah. And one of the other things you haven't touched on is you're getting married this summer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Let's touch on that, man. I'm so stoked. That's my boo thing, Danica.
Like 2 months, right? A little over 2 months.
Three
Okay,
months.
3
We got
months.
end of August.
End of August. Okay,
Yes,
yeah.
sir. And man, we have met. We just had our 3 year, so
Okay.
we've known each other for 3 years. And when I met her, this is another big part of my testimony. Is like I was not living for God, so it was like I didn't know what it meant to love someone and to pursue a deeper relationship with someone in that context. And so when I started reading the Word and realizing like, oh, I'm approaching this all wrong, it was like, wow. It was humbling as a man, because a man, us men, we like to be right. We like to do things our way.
Because we are right all
yeah,
the time.
all the time. And so it was just such a humbling, eye-opening thing, and that's one of the things Dom encouraged me in, is like, hey, lead this girl well. If you really want to pursue her, like you're not just dating to date, like you're dating to marry as a Christian. So when I started realizing like, man,
that's a good word right there.
Yeah.
We could slow down and do a
We
whole,
got on a tangent like yesterday.
I know, dude.
Yeah.
we did, because that's a whole podcast right there. Like, what's the purpose of a relationship? It's one of two things. It's training you to break up, or you're training to get married.
Totally.
And those are the only two options.
Those are the only
And
two options.
We think about it, and we don't think about it in such easy terms, right? It's from Dom's point to you, like, hey, what's the point here? What are you doing, and how are you leading that well, and how are you going through that? Or are you just having fun, or are you you're just waiting for the next breakup on to the next thing? And that, again, in all of these metaphors, that changes our perspective in how we approach a relationship.
Totally.
Right? Am I just trying to have fun? Or am I like training to have someone who could be a life partner forever?
Totally.
And that, for you, understanding that in the physical world with CrossFit, like it's going to change the perspective of how I relate to everybody, but specifically this person who I want to relate to and have an intimate relationship with forever.
Mm-hmm.
So that's powerful. You guys meet, and then Danica meets James, and then meets transformed James and walks through that journey with you. Like, that's cool.
Yeah, man.
That's powerful.
It is really powerful.
I mean, again, that sets you guys up for marriage and going through hard things and difficult things and changing, like there's some good work that's been done there. So yeah, talk to us about how it's changed your relationship and what you're looking forward to here for marriage.
Oh man. Before I had Christ in our relationship, it was all about what was going to bring me the most pleasure, what was going to satisfy me from our relationships. How could I have more fun in this relationship? Now it's transformed to, how can I serve her best? How can I love her well? How can I make her have a great day? It's a complete mind shift when you're living for God in a relationship, and she's the same way. She wakes up and thinks, hey, how can I do this for James today? How can I help him with his training? How can I, just any little detail throughout my day that she can help with, she generally wants to. And when we both committed our relationship to Christ, it became about service. It became about out-serving one another. And I think that's like the best piece of marriage advice I've heard yet is your marriage will succeed as long as you do a couple things. One is come to God with all your problems. 2, outserve each other. Those two things, I think if you just do those two things, it's going to be beautiful.
So good. That's not only, you touched on it, that's not only really the true definition of what love is, the way Jesus described it, is putting other people first. I, in my million years of youth ministry, always told students, like, we throw around this idea of I love you, and your high school girlfriend or your middle school girlfriend. I'm like, don't say I love you until you're actually really committed to, like, I'm willing to put myself last. I'm willing to put you first, because that's what love means. And that's what Paul explains when he talks about, hey, this is a submission competition. Like you say, this is a who can serve better. That's what he says, wives, submit to your husbands, and likewise husbands, submit to your wives, the way that Christ gave his life to the church, right? It in all of our relationships, it really should be a submission competition. Like, how can I put you? How can I better you? How can I glorify God through you? And I think again, the default, the easy thing is, what can I get from you?
Yes.
And this relationship is transactional, or this relationship is just self-serving.
Yeah.
And it gets easy to slip into that. But when we have that, again, mindset shift, it's beautiful. It's the way God designed relationships to be. It's the way he modeled relationship for us through Jesus. So.
It's crazy how much more attracted you get to someone when you start taking yourself out of the equation and you're just saying, hey, what can I do for you? Like, and then because they're going to reciprocate when you do that too. For the most part, it's like they're going to want to do more for you when you do more for them. So it's just like this. It's just building each other up.
Good.
Yep. It's a high calling as men, as husbands, to give through the example of Jesus. Lay down your life, and it's on the everyday. It's on the little things. It's on the attitude. It's on the I kind of want to get my way on this one, and to think about others and to love them well. And she just graduated from pharmacy school.
She's doctor of pharmacy now, which is crazy.
Right?
Yeah, that was so cool because I got to walk through 3 years of school with her, and that was just a glimpse, like 3 years of what she went through to be in this. And man, I was just so proud. Like, this is way cooler than any of my CrossFit stuff. What you just said, like I feel like winning the CrossFit Games compared to this is nothing. Like, I'm like.
She can like save lives through medicine and stuff, and you can lift a heavy thing.
Yes, it's like I say I'm the gain, she's the brains. That's what I like to say.
Like that.
And so it's like watching her do that. I'm just like, there's so much sacrifice she did for that, and I just respect when anyone goes out and sacrifices so much to do something great. And she really wants to change the pharmacy world. Like, she's very into functional medicine and just helping people change their diets, their clothes, their lifestyle choices to be able to, make their lives holistically healthier. And it's just so cool to watch her. She's going to change the world with pharmacy. I truly believe it.
Yeah.
So
last year you did pretty good at the CrossFit Games.
Oh, thanks.
Talk to us about that. I mean, I didn't know you last year. We just met recently, but that's what I hear, and I Googled it, so it's true.
Oh. Too sweet.
Yeah.
So last year was my first year qualifying for the CrossFit Games as a adult, and qualifying as an adult is a much different feat than qualifying as a teenager or a master, as my dad did.
Master's just old term for I mean, it's a term for being old.
It's a term for you've aged out of the open division, so
right.
you get your own now, and
Right.
it's still amazing.
It's 100% amazing.
It's
yeah.
so cool.
Yes.
Yeah, it's so cool. But in our division, it's 18 through 35-year-olds can compete. So
Okay.
you're getting your peak athletic performance of age, right?
36 is
out.
old.
You can still qualify as a 36-year-old. It's just not very common.
Okay.
Like you can still do our weights and do our qualifiers. It's just like there's very few people who have done it. That I can probably count on a hand.
That's why I'm not doing it. It's just
Yeah.
because you know
The aged out.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You could be president of the United States,
Yeah.
just not going to be able
Yes.
to compete.
I'm gonna go in that direction.
Got it.
instead.
We all got our own goal. So it's like last year at the CrossFit Games, making it was just a huge thing for me. So I had no.
Yeah, put that into context for people
Yeah.
because again, most of our listeners and most people, right? They get what CrossFit is. They
Totally.
drive around, they see the gyms, they understand it. They've seen social media or whatever.
Mhm.
But put into context the amount of people who are going to CrossFit on their Monday night with their homies versus
Totally.
like people who are training. Like what is the odds and stuff like that? How hard is that to do to even just
Totally.
qualify for the games?
Oh man. So there's 4 stages. There's the open, there's quarterfinals, there's semifinals, which are next week for me, and then there's the games. So the open, anyone can sign up for, right? Anyone that has $20 and has access to gym equipment. So you go sign up for the open, you do these 3 workouts. If you make it in the top 25% of your age group, you move on to quarterfinals. Then quarterfinals are a little bit harder set of workouts. They take 1/4 the pool, so they can get a little higher skills, a little heavier weights. And then in quarterfinals, you do a few more workouts. And if you are top for the open division, the 18 through 35-year-olds, if you are top 40 in your region, so I'm in the North America West region. If you're top 40 in your region, you move on to semifinals. In semifinals, the 40 guys in your region, there's two regions for North America East, North America West. They kind of divide all of North America into these Mississippi West, east of the Mississippi. Then at semifinals, if you are top 9 in our division, and in the East it's top 11, you move on to the CrossFit Games. So I have to be one of the best 9 men in North America West to move on.
Out of the 40.
Out of the 40 in the West,
Wow.
correct. And then so in cumulative out of the whole world, they take 40 people out of the whole world to make the CrossFit Games. And so Africa gets us 1 spot because they don't have as big of a strength of field. Asia gets 2 spots. Oceania, which is Australia region, gets 3 spots. North America East gets 11. Europe gets 10. So they divide. The whole world is involved in this process. So if you are top 9, if I'm top 9 next week, I move on to the Worlds again. So last year I was in the East because I lived in Florida, and I had to be top 12, and I was 11th. So last year I barely slid in. The year before that, I actually missed qualifying by 1 point, and that was when I had CrossFit as an idol in my life, and I could get into that for an hour about how God was trying to show me, hey, this isn't everything I have for you, by missing it by 1 point. At the time, it destroyed me, but now I look back at that, and I'm like, that was the best thing that could happen to me because it showed me I need to come to God.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I love it that sport does that for us.
Right?
I mean, because I'm a big sport guy, and I love how I just learn and grow through that area and avenue of life. And people ask me a lot, when you're training for something, like, what do you do on the bike for 4 hours, and how does that work? And there's so much going on internally, mentally, physically, paying attention to the workout. It's a lot. But it's also just a lot growing as a person, and perseverance and endurance, which is following Jesus. Like, it's an everyday grind and a mission to help people go and make disciples, help people find and follow Jesus. It's our mission. It's what we should be about every day, and it's perseverance to the end. There's an endurance to life, and doing endurance sport and training for things helps me be better at that, helps me accomplish the goals on the physical side, help me accomplish parenting goals and financial goals and relational goals and following Jesus. I love to learn through that avenue. So, having you talk about it, I'm like, yes, and yes, and amen. Makes me want to sign up for something right now, be honest.
Oh my gosh.
We
get
can
more
do some
training.
push-ups or something after that. I don't know, man.
The half Ironman's coming up in Coeur d'Alene.
Right? Shout out to your dad.
Right?
He's doing
Crazy.
You're not doing it this year?
No,
No.
no. I'm training for what's that?
Oh,
Yeah.
dang.
Don't worry, I'm not doing
Be
it.
There's other things in life.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes, there is.
we got 2 driver ed kids right now. It's like a part-time job doing
Yeah,
driver's ed.
I'll bet.
It's a lot.
I remember that. I was 15 doing that. I think every kid's 15 or 16 doing it. But anyway, I almost got kicked out because I was so much of a troublemaker. On my they had 17 classes. It was class 16, and my buddy and I were being silly, and he got kicked out of the class, so he had to restart from class 1.
Whoa,
Tough.
yo, that's real tough. So how you feeling about next weekend? And you go to California for the comp.
Correct. I feel really good. There's this confidence I have that I've never had before. Like I belong, and I'm here to put up top scores now instead of just like try and make it. It's like I'm here to show what the standard is. And so my training has reflected that and been super great lately. I've had a couple like nicks and knacks here and there, but it's like that's what you get when you train all day long. But I feel very confident. I love the tests they put out for us. They line up super well for a tall guy. I'm actually the tallest guy in our sport right now. So
No way.
last guy
At 6'3",
6'3".
Wow.
Yeah. So last year I went back to back with another one of the dudes that was supposed to be the tallest guy. His name's Brent Fikowski. He's been like an 8-time CrossFit Games athlete, and I had him by like a hair. So I was like, boom, I'll take it.
It's tougher. A lot of the things are tougher for taller guys.
Yeah.
Right?
It depends on where you go. So at the CrossFit Games, there's a lot of covering ground. So, it's all outdoors. So you're covering distance with your steps. So having bigger steps and more range of motion actually benefits you. Where at some competitions, it's like, how fast can you squat and how fast can you do a pull-up? Like the shorter range of motion, having shorter arms, shorter legs benefits you. So
Yeah.
this competition is, I would say, meant for a tall guy.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm
Good.
happy about it.
Nice.
Yeah.
That'll be fun. Man, we could talk about workouts and everything for a long time.
Yes,
How
sir.
do you balance, because like today's a rest day,
Yeah.
right? And so someone listening in, whether it's following Jesus or other things, it can sound like it's always a max 100, intense.
Mm-hmm.
You said you moved back here to find a little more rhythm and balance
Yeah.
in life,
Yeah.
but also in training. You're not just doing burpees 24/7. You're
No.
not just doing pull-ups. Talk to us about your experience from CrossFit and then just the last couple of years finding that in life. How do you pursue something world-class games with high excellence, training to get peak performance at the same time getting married? At the same time having fun, because you've been on a golf course once or twice this year.
Too much.
How do you have rest? Like rest is part of that. Talk to us about that, because it can just sound like all you do is you wake up, you pound an energy drink, and you're going.
Totally. No, man. It's 5 days a week that I train, and it's periodized throughout the season. So as I explained, there's the open, quarterfinals, semifinals. There's times you need to peak your performance and sacrifice a bit more and be in the gym more. And then there's times, I'll give an example, from October to January is kind of my off season. I would even include September in that month, where I'm like, hey, minimal gym time, having more time for family, fun, gimmicks, whatever it is. But the 5 days a week that I'm training right now are pretty committed, and I don't have time for much else. But on the rest days that I do have, I try and do something fun like golf, or I try and, go hang out with friends, get my mind off of CrossFit, because I don't want it to dominate my headspace. Because when it does, it brings me more stress. My performance actually lacks because I'm too stressed about it. I have my best performance when I'm having fun, and I have other things going for me outside of CrossFit. So actually, like, this wedding planning has been so fun because it's like takes my mind off of clean and jerks. I'm just like, oh, I can think about a dance right now, and I can think about the food I get to eat on my wedding day, and it's just like, oh, it's awesome. So I always want to have more than CrossFit to look forward to, and that's the best part. Is moving here allowed me to have more balance in the gym too, because I have all my buddies here come to the gym with me, and I have more fun inside the gym. It's not as serious, so I've noticed I've been thriving, and I'm like, wow, maybe I don't need these hard training camps and all these crazy good athletes around me to push me. Like, I'm already internally driven, so I just need to have fun and have a good balance of fun and work ethic, and the results have just gone way better than I expected.
Yeah, and it's a solo sport, but it's not. You're saying you're doing it in community. How important is that?
Oh, man, it's the best. Like, you have other hardworking people in the room with you that are sweating and grinding, and man, you wouldn't want to do it any other way. Some people enjoy being in the gym alone. I'm personally complete opposite. I love being able to cheer someone on, having someone cheer me on, just being in the trenches with someone is such a beautiful thing. And the CrossFit has helped me build some of the best friendships I have, because, there's something to be said about the bonding that happens when you're suffering with someone. So and you can relate, it's relatable with each other. So,
and it's always true in life, but especially in athletics, you can never get the most out of you by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
The best in all of us comes out through competition, whether it's in the gym, pushing each other, or it's at the competition, you're doing it around others.
Totally.
You never get a max effort by yourself.
Yeah.
When I go run, if I'm running to beat a guy, there is more in the tank. There's another gear that comes out because of the encouragement of the others. Right. In competition, we do want to crush people, but it's for fun, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like,
I mean, for most of us, some of us are doing it for a living, but
it's funny because there is like. The people know me in CrossFit as the happy smile kid that's just so happy to be there. And like, yes, that is me, but I also have the deepest desire to win. And I want to crush you on the floor. Yeah. Like, I want to look at you and be like, you're going down. Like, I have that deep innate desire to win, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to win too. So when I'm on the floor, I'm not Mr. Happy James. Hey, I'm going to crush you. And I think that's a good competitive spirit, especially as a guy, is a good thing, as long as it's a healthy balance.
Yeah. Yeah, Kyle, every time he steps on the field, the course, golf course, when you and your dad, because I golf a lot with you and your dad, you guys, there is a very quiet, subversive, heated competition going on.
Yes.
And it's you both are kind of quiet about it, but it pops up.
Yeah.
And it popped up last week.
Yeah, it popped up on the 7th hole, and he's like, I think you got me by 1. And then he tries to get in my head, and he does.
And he did.
Yeah, he did.
It's this.
I still got him by 2 at the end. So.
Yes.
Oh, you did. I never did hear the final. They're very quiet about it.
Totally.
But it's all, they both are keeping score of each other while we're playing. And it's, Mike played the high card. He was like, mind game, I can get in. And he broke you down for a couple holes, but you rebounded.
Yeah. But I'm the same way, dude. I don't care what it is. The stupidest, silliest game of Go Fish. I want to win. Like, I don't
totally.
Like, I can't, like, I don't know. There's something in me. Like, I have that too. It's just like, yeah, if we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this.
Totally.
Right? And again, I think continue to relate it back to Jesus. That's my story. I found Jesus when I was a middle school student, and if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna halfway. I'm not gonna just like even some of my friends who were goofing around and doing other stupid stuff. I'd look and I'd be like, are we doing this or are we not doing this?
Yeah.
Because when I read the scriptures, when I look at Jesus' invitation, it's let's do this.
Yep.
Right? And so, I think there's something there physically, mentally, spiritually, relationally, like that. Like let's do it. Stop pretending. Stop just trying. Like let's train. Paul uses those metaphors. Right? I'm going to beat my body. I'm going to make sure that I'm disciplined because that's what it takes. And I think some people look at even these conversations or would look at a guy like you and be like, oh, well, he's just a disciplined guy. Yeah. That's just him. That's the way he's wired. And I think we use that as like an excuse. Like, that's just not me. Like, discipline is something you're training. You don't just try to be disciplined. Any of us can be disciplined in that with our lives and with our spiritual walk. It's not just for those crazy, ridiculous, specimens out there. It's like, no, God's designed us with discipline in us if we apply it and use it to glorify Him.
Mm-hmm. What's one thing that you do that can maybe help the average person when it comes to discipline, when it comes to working out? Let's put it in the workout category.
Yeah.
Like, is there something that you do, like lay out your outfit the night before, or know that what your training plan is, or like what is something that you do that has been helpful over the years to go, yep, this is what gets me in the gym, because when I'm done with the gym, I'm always glad I came.
Totally.
But sometimes getting to the gym is the hardest battle.
Totally. So
what's something that you do that maybe would be helpful for someone listening in to go, oh, okay, that's how I can build in some of this discipline in my life?
Totally. I have so many things to say about this, but I'd say the number one thing is building a routine. Know when you're marking out time for the gym or for your fitness, and where that needs to come in your day, and literally mark it in your calendar. Like, if you are struggling to make a habit out of something, like, mark time for it. That is time for it, and you go do it. Even if you show up to the gym and you just do a few things, you got in there. Yeah. Like, don't think you have to go to the gym every day and go crush yourself, because that's not even how I approach it as a professional athlete. I go to the gym thinking, hey, I'm going to train methodically to get better today. And so it's going to help me in the future. Not I'm just going to beat myself down and it's going to be the hardest day in the gym. Like I have those days, but they're not every day. So I would say for the average everyday person is, hey, mark out time in your schedule to be immersed in fitness in whatever concept you want, and also make it fun. You don't have to just go in and do miserable stuff. Like fitness is fun for the most part. And there's things that different people enjoy. Some people enjoy Pilates. Some people enjoy yoga. Some people enjoy the grueling CrossFit workouts. Find what you enjoy, and that may take some experimentation, but go find that thing and clench onto it and make habit out of it.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, do something that's fun. I like on the time thing too. This is really key for all of us. Have an end time as well.
Yep.
So when we allocate it, sometimes you're like, oh, I'm going to start at whatever, pick a time. I got to do it before work because I know my day will run out. Like start at 7. Know that you're done. Sometimes I'm like, I'm crunched on time. 20 minutes is when I have in my mind like a 45-minute workout, but I only have time for like 20 minutes. 20 minutes is better than 0.
Yeah.
So just know like, so you're like 7 to 7:30 and you're done.
Totally.
And you can just be out. Because sometimes the open-ended, like I got to go work out or I got to do a thing. Make it fun. Start and stop time. That'll help build a rhythm on any discipline.
Also comes down to like choosing your hard. It's also hard to sit on the couch and get fat. Like that has a lot of negative things that it does for your life. And sure, going to the gym and sweating and breathing heavy is hard. But I'd way rather have that and have a long, healthy, happy life because health is wealth. Like I truly was so unhappy when I was overweight, and I believe the weight and dragging that along with me was like a big part of why I was so unhappy. So now that I have, I've trained my body and I'm disciplined, like I believe that's also a huge reason why I wake up happy too, is like, man, I feel good. You just feel refreshed.
And true or false, working out overall brings more energy to your life and not less.
True.
Yeah.
Very much true. In the beginning, it can feel like, oh man, I'm so tired after whatever. It just takes a sec. Like any habit, it takes.
What'd you say? Like 2-3 weeks to adjust?
Oh yeah, 3 weeks max. As long as you're consistent with it. And I'm a personal trainer, so I train a lot of people that haven't been in the gym before and are new to this. And literally just start a couple days a week. You can go 2 to 3 days a week. Once you start getting out of that period where you're sore all the time, you can maybe add in another day or a few more minutes on those couple days. Just don't overdo it in the beginning because that's how you burn yourself out. So always start with less and add more than start with more and take away.
What's your recovery number today?
Oh, man. So I wear a Whoop watch. This thing is, if anyone wears a Whoop, it's pretty cool. It doesn't really give you a number. It gives you a percent that you're recovered. I'm actually not very recovered because I was up late with the fire alarms, fixing the fire smoke detectors in the house.
But today's your recovery day, so the number tomorrow. What's your number you're looking for percent-wise tomorrow?
Man.
Like, what's a good number?
I usually feel really good if I'm 80 plus. Right now I'm like a 45. Well, not great. There's like the red, the yellow, and the green.
Yeah.
And usually when I'm in the yellow, I feel a little like it knows. Like I feel a little groggy. I feel
stressed.
Yeah. When I'm in the red, I'm usually sick or I just didn't sleep at all. And when I'm in the green, I'm like, let's go, baby.
Let's go tackle the world.
Let's go.
Yeah, I'm going to try to land the plane here. I got so many questions.
So good.
I had 2 nights ago, so I wear a Garmin that does the same thing, gives me a body battery number. And anyways, it was low going to bed. It was like 33.
Mm-hmm.
I woke up, it was 25.
Ooh.
After 7.5 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
And my stress level through the night. And I had a ton of vivid dreams. Honestly, this is kind of weird for me. Not normal is what I'm trying to say there. I feel like I did spiritual battle in my sleep like all night. It was one of those, like I woke up, I told Amy about it. I was like, I was battling all night. Because I usually it's usually like in the 90s or like I woke up this morning, went from 25 to 90. Like that's my normal sleep. And it was one of those weird, like, God, what's happening? What are we doing? Like there was relational things. There was things with my family. Nothing specific. And I never know really what to take away from dreams and visions and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, same.
I'm curious about it. I know God works through that, and I don't really know what to do with all that. But I just, like, literally woke up I'm beat. Like, I was up all night, but not. It was a weird thing. Anyways, and my watch told me that, and I was like, yeah, that matches with the way I'm feeling and what's going on in my spirit. But anyways, we're just grateful you're on the podcast today, but more than that, thankful for your commitment to Christ and what God's been doing in you the last couple of years, and your commitment to with whatever you got going on, including the CrossFit stuff and your upcoming marriage here,
Thank you.
commit to Him and make Him the center. And so we just pray a blessing on you this next weekend. May God give you a big platform to do great things for Him and get to the world.
Thank you, boys.
Yeah, that'd
Man,
be awesome.
it was a pleasure to be on here. This is way cooler than CrossFit podcast. Like just getting to share something that has eternal value is like really special. So thanks for giving me the opportunity.
And I bet people were like doing push-ups and burpees while they're doing
Yes.
listening through this.
Yes. Anyone in the CrossFit community tuning into this, thank you. Come to Mission Church in Spokane whenever you're here. We have a good time here on Sundays.
Yeah, they can tune in online. It'd be great.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, for all of everybody listening, do whatever the Holy Spirit's leading you to do. Do that this week. Have a great week following Jesus. We'll catch you on the next episode.